ch5 CPU sharing. Objective: discover CPU sharing algorithm. Assess CPU sharing algorithm based on sharing criteria. Describe various real-time sharing algorithm. Describe the sharing algorithm used in the Windows, Linux, and Solaris operating system. Apply modeling and simulation to a CPU sharing algorithm. Basic concept: maximum CPU utilization obtained with multi-program. Histogram of CPU burst time: large number of short bursts, small number of longer bursts. CPU scheduler: the CPU scheduler selects from among the processes in ready queue and allocate a CPU core to one of them. Queue may be ordered in various ways. CPU sharing discretion may take place when a processor switches from running to waiting state, switch from running to ready state, switch from waiting to ready, terminate. For situation 1 and 4, there is no choice in them in terms of sharing. A new process must be selected for execution for scenario 2 and 3. However, there is a choice. Preemptive and non-preemptive sharing. When sharing takes place only under circumstances 1 and 4, sharing stream is non-preemptive, or otherwise it is preemptive. Under non-preemptive sharing, once the CPU has been allocated to a process, then process keeps the CPU until it needs it, either by terminate or by switching to the waiting state. Dispatcher module gives control of the CPU to the process selected by the CPU selector. It is involved switching context, switching to user mode, jumping to power location in the user program to restart that program. Dispatch latency: time it takes for the dispatcher to stop one process and starting other running. Sharing trajectory: CPU utilization: keep the CPU as busy as possible. Throughput of processes that complete their execution per time until first come, first serve. Sharing support that the process is alive in the order P1, P2, P3. The Gantt chart for the schedule is waiting time for P1. Shortage of first sharing allocates with each process the rate of its next CPU burst. Use this length to schedule all processes with the shortest time. SJF is optimal. Give minimum hour waiting time for a given set of processes. Primitive version called state remaining time first. How do we determine the length of the next CPU burst? Could ask the user estimate. Determining length of next CPU burst can only estimate the length should be similar to the previous one. Then pick process which shortest predicts next CPU burst can be done by using the length of previous CPU burst using exponential everything. Round robin RR. Each process gets a small unit of CPU time quantum, usually 10 to 100 milliseconds. After this time has elapsed, the process is preempted and at the end of the lady queue, if there are n processes in the lady queue and the time quantum is q, then each process gets 1 n of the CPU time in chunk of at most q time unit at once. No process was more than q time unit. Priority scheduling. A priority number integer is associated with each process. The CPU is allocated to the process with the highest priority. Preemptive, non-preemptive. SJF is priority sharing, where priority is the inverse of predict next CPU burst time. Problems: starvation. Low priority processes may never achieve solution until as time progresses increase the priority of the process. Multi-level queue with priority sharing have separate queue for each priority schedule. The process in the highest priority queue. Prioritization based upon process type, highest priority, real-time process, system process, interactive and active process, burst process, lowest priority. Multi-level feedback queue. A process can move between the various queues. Multi-level feedback queue shader defined by the following pyramid. Number of queue shadering or algorithm is q. Nothing can be implemented. Use multi-level feedback queue. Real-time CPU shadering can present obvious challenges. Solve real-time system. Critical real-time tasks have the highest priority, but no guarantee as to when tasks will be scheduled. Hard real-time system tasks must be serviced by its deadline. Event latency, the amount of time that event from when an event occurs to when it is serviced. Two types of latency effect: performance interrupt latency, disperse latency. Interrupt latency, disperse latency, conflicts rate of dispersed latency preemption of any process running in kernel mode, released by low priority process of resources needed by high priority process. Priority-based sharing. For real-time sharing, scheduler must support preemptive priority-based sharing. Processes have no sharing or periodic. Once required CPU at constant intervals. Has processing time T, deadline D, period P. Rate of periodic charge is 1 T. Operating system example: Linux sharing, Windows sharing, Solaris sharing. Linux sharing to version 2.5 prior to kernel version 2.5 LAN variation of sharing Unix host algorithm version 2.5 move to constant order sharing time preemptive priority based to priority link time sharing and real-time range from 0 to 99 and nice value from 100 to 140 map into global priority with numerical value indicating higher priority. Higher priority gets last queue. Windows sharing. Windows use priority-based preemptive sharing. Highest priority test runs next. This pressure is scheduler. Test runs until one block to use time slice 3 preempted by higher priority thread. Variable class is 1 to 50. Real-time class is 16 to 31. Solaris priority based sharing 6 classes available. Given threads can be in one class at a time. Each class has its own sharing algorithm. Algorithm of variation. How to select CPU sharing algorithm for an OS. Determine criteria, then evaluate algorithm. Deterministic modeling. Type of analytic evaluation. Take a particular predetermined workload and define the performance of each algorithm for that work. Deterministic evaluation. For each algorithm, calculate minimum average waiting time